before I do a talk or a presentation. And today I was watching a broadcast from a spiritual guide or leader that I really appreciate and admire, and his name is Lee Harris. Has anybody heard of him, Lee Harris? Well, I encourage you, if you can, to look him up on YouTube. He's just a beautiful, heartfelt leader who channels a group of higher beings called the Z's. And he was talking today, well, he was answering questions from his own intuitive knowledge or understanding, but then he was also channeling the Z's. And I wrote down a quote that the Z's channeled through him, and they said, "Speaking your truth is singing the song of your soul." And we're moving into quite a pivotal time in our history where I've been studying the planets lately, and especially astrology, where certain outer planets in our cosmos are changing signs, which means that we're moving into an era of dramatic change. And when we go through a time of change, there tends to be a time of chaos. There's a time of things breaking down for something new to be birthed. And particularly if you do get interested in understanding what's going on out there cosmically, because we all come from the cosmos, we all are energetic beings, we're all spiritual beings that chose to have this physical lifetime at this particular time to see the evolution of our consciousness. And some of us are getting on in age. I'm 61, and there's a few of us a little bit maybe older and mature and wiser. I say that the older I get, the wiser I get, and that goes with the white and grey hair too. So we, as the forebearers of wisdom, who are now getting on in our generation, we have to now prepare or pave the way for the newer generations to start moving into their leadership. They're taking the planet to the next stage of evolution. So I was looking at different quotes online last night. I love to record quotes that will inspire whatever may be coming from Spirit. And one quote, and I don't know who said it, so I'm going to say anonymous. They said, "Birth is God saying you matter." So each and every one of us came to this planet in this lifetime, in this body, with this face. I do face reading, so that's why I'm mentioning faces, to allow our soul to express itself. And there's no accident to how we came into this physical being, and there's no accident to the day you were born either. So the birth date that you came in on, whether you came early or late, there was no accident in that. You came in with a perfect plan, a divine blueprint, and each and every one of us are here with a true mission or a purpose for what we would like to evolve into, how we could be of service to others, and how we can be part of this transformational age of evolution. And also it's about consciousness. Lee Harris would say, and this is from his channeling of the Z's, they say that we're here to seed consciousness, to fertilise and support a new consciousness on Earth. So what would that look like, a new consciousness, or what does that mean? It means that we're going to be seeing it now, and in the next few months we're going to see these planets shifting into their new signs, and Pluto is moving into Aquarius. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the new age of Aquarius. I mean, that song was back from the 60s or 70s, wasn't it? That keeps playing in my mind. We're entering into the new age of Aquarius. So what does that look like? Well, it's about each and every one of us understanding what our purpose is, what our mission is, what our heart's desire is. And in order for us to embody that and then support others with what gifts we have. In the age of Aquarius, it's about individualization, so being aware of who we are without being dependent on others, but allowing what we have to support, what we have to give to the community to support the community. So we're going to see more of people speaking up and standing up for their rights, because for centuries we have been under the dictate of higher power. Now that's not unfortunately our higher power, which is the divine. It's more like being the higher power of people that are in the, I suppose, the elite 3%. And so we will see more information coming to light that we were not aware of, or we may have even been in denial of. And people may start to get a little bit frustrated and angry about what blanket of secrecy that we've been living under for so long. And I'm seeing people nodding their heads so that you're aware that what I'm talking about. And again, I'll refer to what the Z said. We're here to develop the courage to speak our heartfelt truth and to stop the people pleasing. Because I know in my era, when I was growing up, and I'm a baby boomer, you were children that were born, and your parents wanted to see you, but they didn't necessarily want to hear you. And if they did hear you, it was like, quieten down. I mean, that still happens now with little kids, but it was more, you couldn't be your true, authentic self. And if you really want to see people being authentic, look at children before they're being conditioned. Okay, so this is where we are evolving back to. If we come back to a sense of our true childlike nature, and if, for instance, you're in work at the moment that doesn't light your fire, doesn't spark the passion in your heart, if you're not doing something in a way that makes you feel part of a community and supporting a community, even if it's your family or the people in your street, or for instance, Amanda is here stepping up into this community and supporting you. That's where her true calling has led her to. So it's where we now need to delve deep into the waters of deep emotion that reside within us. And it's no accident that we're moving into the star sign of Pisces. Pisces is a sign that's all about deep compassion, intuition, heartfelt connection with others. And it's also very emotional. So you might find over the next month, but particularly over the next few days, because we're moving into a new moon in Pisces, which is all about new beginnings, about using our imagination. How can you now tap into what is deep within you, going into a deep space such as meditation, or even just allowing yourself to focus on your breath and allowing whatever comes up for you. When I was tuning in again this morning, I'm allowing Spirit to drop things into my mind, because I'm a good thinker and I can live up here. I'm sure a lot of us do. We're going to be encouraged, of course, as time flows on, to move into our body more and to connect more with our heart and let our heart speak. But as we go through this progression of dropping down from the busy mind and into the body and into the heart, we will be asked to just be aware of what comes up for us. And so what I was thinking about in terms of this talk today was, I love watching the program Friends. Anybody else watch Friends on TV? Have you watched the reruns? I do that, and I do that with my 25-year-old son who's living at home with me. And he says, Mum, we've seen this before. And I'll say, I know, but just the light-heartedness and the joy and just the ridiculous humour that they inspire is what we need at the moment as we go through these transitional times. And I was thinking, okay, why is Spirit dropping in Friends? Well, Friends can kind of be a representation of cycles. Here's a group of friends that come together, and they've all got their own personalities, and they've got their own conflicts and challenges, but then, two of the friends become intimate and decide to live together and marry and then have children. So this is what we also do. We're born as children, we develop and we grow into teenagers, and we get out into the world and experience life. We fall over and then we pick up, and then we move into the different decades of our life, which all have a particular energy and meaning. And so these, in Friends, I think they get into their 30s, which is quite an emotional time. And so I thought about, okay, well, what's the relevance of that? Well, as we go through this cycle, the Z's, or Lee Harris was also mentioning this morning, that our relationships are going to come under analysis. We're going to want to connect with people that are of the same frequency. Now, frequency is just the level of energy that you're vibrating at. And we may find that as this period of transition unfolds, that people that you thought you were compatible with, whether it's your friends, your relatives, family, anyone in your circle, if you feel that there's changes afoot, allow that to happen. And certain people may fall away, and we need to practice the art of letting go. I was listening to a song in my car, Letting Go, as I was coming here. I thought, all these things are synchronicity, they all come together. And so be aware that I also listened to a lady, or a fabulous astrologer called Pam Gregory. I don't know if anybody does watch astrology on YouTube, but I'm going to invite you to have a look. Pam Gregory is a lovely lady of a certain age and wisdom who I really admire. And she says we are coming to a time where we want to connect with family of frequency. We want to create a family of our frequency. And so there will be people in your life that may just naturally drop away, or there may be some conflict, and you'll get to a point and say, I can't continue life with you. I'll spend maybe a little bit less time with you. But because it's you're evolving and you're changing, and I do face and birth date readings based on Chinese medicine. So we are in a year which is very similar to the energy of the bamboo tree. And a bamboo tree has many branches, many stalks from it. It's not just one firm trunk, it's got many. And what that means, this energy this year is of many options available to us, being adaptable to change. It's also the energy of air and the wind. So we're going to be blowing around in the breeze a bit this year, if that makes sense. You're going to feel a little bit confused. The whole world, not just certain people, the whole world will feel a bit confused. But it's also a time of creativity, exploring things that you may not have even looked at before. And it's about allowing yourself to adapt to the changes that are unfolding. Because if we dig our heels in and say, I'm not moving, I'm not changing, that person has to change, I'm not changing, you're the one that's going to get affected. So allow yourself to adapt. Allow yourself to move with the breeze. And I did put some quotes down about change. This was a funny one. Change is not a 4-letter word, but often your reaction to it is. And that's by Jeffrey Gitomer. So, and that could be any 4 word, it could be starting with the word S. So change is inevitable. We need to adapt to change. And what I'm seeing in terms of the astrology, which I've been on, I'm a proverbial learner. I'm a student that will not stop studying. I was a good student at school, but I thought the subjects were pretty boring. But once I left school and started seeing and exploring spirituality and healing, Reiki, etc., and wanting to explore more about healing and why do we get ill, it's just led me on this track of wanting to know what we can do to support ourselves as we move into these transitional times. There will be times where we'll say, enough, let me out of here. The energy can feel that constrictive, or we can see already there's a higher level of anxiety and depression in the world. And that triggered me into supporting young teens in a bigger way. I've created a program to support the young people who are really struggling out there to find their voice, but also to understand why they're here and why they're growing up in such challenging times. And so when we're aware that there is certain energies that we're being exposed to, you too may be a higher sensitive person that can feel sometimes waking up in the morning and feeling anxious. I don't know if anybody else experiences it, but I do, and particularly at times of new moons, full moons, but also other times. And if you're open to evolving and seeding that consciousness that these channeled beings were saying, you are going to experience a higher levels of possible anxiety and emotions that you may not choose to want to experience. But that's all part of the parts of you that are breaking away in order for the true you to come out and shine your light. It is all about us really coming back to soul, coming back to the essence of who we are, and coming back to our divine blueprint, to who and what we came here to be and do. And I chose a card out of one of my many card decks. I've got about 40 plus. And this one's called Energy and Spirit, and I thought that was pretty, I don't know, I just got drawn to it. And I thought which card would really relate to what I might be speaking about today. And the card is Conscious Steps. And it says considered action, looking forward. So we are in a time of deepening our consciousness, moving out of the 3D that we've been living in for centuries, and aspiring to move back to the fifth dimension, the fifth and seventh dimensional energies that we came from. I'm hoping that this will inspire you to do some more research. There's some fabulous spiritual leaders out there at the moment. I'm finding a lot of them are in their 40s. In Chinese medicine, the 40s is the decade where we really want to be our authentic selves. We don't want meaningless relationships. We don't want meaningless work. We want to be our true self. So the leaders that I tend to follow or listen to, as I said earlier, is Lee Harris, and Laurie Ladd is another one, and there's a few other ones as well that I can't recall at the moment. But they're here to remind us that we're here for a purpose, and that change is inevitable. Chaos usually precedes change. And as I was driving here, I was thinking about how I stubbed one of my toes on my feet yesterday. I was helping my daughter with babysitting my grandson while she was cleaning up around the house. And I stubbed my toe, gee, that hurts. And then it took me back all the way back to when I was 17 and I was on a trip to Europe with my sister. And I stubbed my toe somewhere. We were on our way to another country. We did a 6 or 7 week tour of Europe. And 3/4 of the way through the trip, I stubbed my toe as we were walking into an elevator or something. And I thought, oh my God, that hurts. And it was really bad. I know one of the people said, well, stop being dramatic, you're just drawing attention to yourself. But the funny thing was, that little bit of chaos led to an awareness, because my sister and I were sitting on the bus on a Kentucky tour, and a song came on the radio, and it actually came on my playlist today while I was driving here. I thought that's probably why I was triggered to remember it. I forget who sings it, but it was an old 60s song. To love, love, love him is to know him is to love, love, love him. Can you remember that? Anyway, we were singing that, and I was harmonising to it, and somebody in front of us turned around and said, you girls should sing. You should sing together. And we looked at each other and thought, oh, we were just doing that for fun. And then that set an idea in our head, well, maybe we could. And so from that evolved the idea to harmonise and create a harmony duo to sing at weddings. And we called ourselves the Wedding Bells. So, I delved into business quite early. They're delving early into business right now. You were saying the 13-year-olds doing YouTube videos. It's all, but there's always something that can precede a change, and it doesn't have to be a negative change. It can actually be a very positive change. So I'd like to leave you on that note. I don't know if I've done my 20 minutes or not. Yep. There is one last quote I'd like to finish with. So this is a quote by John Lilly, and he says, our only security is our ability to change. So I invite you to welcome change, because what comes with change is hope, or maybe hope precedes change. But be aware that if something is changing in your life, if you're going through some sense of chaos at the moment, know that the sun always comes up the next day. And your breath, there's always another breath. So if you're feeling anxious with the changes that are unfolding and you're not certain or not clear as to what's unfolding, maybe do a little bit of research on YouTube. See what's happening with the stars, because the stars dictate more than we give them, credit for. They were aligned on the day and the moment you were born. So go and get an astrology reading, for instance, and get some real understanding of who you are. It's never too late. I know that I'm continually evolving and changing my identity, and it can start from when we're young, but we continue to grow and we continue to evolve. And I think it's important for us to remember we're here. The older ones of us are now ready to hand over the mantle to our young people and to encourage them to become the leaders that will take our planet to the next stage of evolution. So I leave you with that hope and with that awareness of your breath, and soon I'll be doing meditation to see if we can connect with that deeper sense of hope. Thank you. Put your hands together. So, is everyone familiar with the benefits of sound healing? Has anybody experienced a sound bath or been familiar with the sounds of Tibetan bowls? No, never experienced them? Well, what they do is can support you into harmonising and attuning your energy field back to a beautiful, optimal balance. But I'm going to see one unfolds. I'm going to trust Spirit will guide me as to how this meditation will play out. But it's here to support you in your healing. And I use these bowls in my my healing practice. So if you gently like to close your eyes. No peeking. And allow a gentle smile to touch your mouth. Allow yourself to be held, comforted, and supported in this very moment by the sound that you hear. And sound was what birthed us. Sound was the first thing that created life. Many say it was light, but it's actually sound. So open your ears, open your heart, and open your consciousness to the deeper part of you who knows why you're here, why you came today. And allow the note that's being played now, which relates to the solar plexus, to enter into your body. So just imagine that this sound is flowing into that space just beneath your rib cage. This is where our will resides. And it's also where our sense of courage to step up, speak up, and become who we were designed to become. And allow yourself to notice what words you have not spoken. What would your heart want you to verbalize now, to be authentic in? Notice if you feel your throat chakra opening. Allow it to open. Many of us have walked through life closed, shut down. So know that the time has arrived connect down to your heart. And feel your heart opening. What would your heart want you to know right now? And by tuning into your heart, know that it has all the answers. This is where self-love resides. This is where self-awareness resides. And this is where consciousness lives and is embodied, is awakened, and flows out around you and out into your aura and out towards others. Back to the solar plexus and awaken that sense of drive, awaken your willpower, feel yourself strong like a tree. Come back to your throat, feel the unspoken words. Love resides here. It always has and always will. And this is where spirit connects with you. Allow yourself to receive. And in the receiving, you're more open to giving. Rest here for a moment. Feel your heart opening wide. And imagine there's one card in the tarot where a woman is stepping with one foot into the water. I think it's the Star card. And one foot is on land. And she's reaching in to the water, pulling up from the surface of the water all her dreams, her desires, and her hopes, all from this space in the water. So allow that energy to flow up through you. And allow yourself to feel the sense of hope, peace, and love. And when you're ready, and in your own time, gently opening your eyes and feel that sense of peace flowing through you.